everybody, to Lunch Without Lunch. If it's your first time here, a warm welcome to you. My name is Bridget Legault. I'm the community manager here within Rainforest. My colleague and our, that's funny how the closed caption spelled my last name. Legault. Anyway, I'm holding my mic like this because I'm in a pretty noisy spot and I'm just trying to shelter some of the background noise. So sorry if it looks a bit odd. My partner in crime, Amber Rowden, she is in Montreal representing the Queer Innovation Meetup along with Dr. Ty McKinney from our ecosystem. So that's really exciting. They're going to be reporting back to us next Wednesday at Lunch Without Lunch about the work they're doing and how the Queer Tech Summit, or I think it's called the Summit, how it went in Montreal. We also have a steering committee up in the Edmonton rainforest. So sometimes those folks are here. I don't see any here today. I know many are involved with the Aztec Awards, as is Brent, actually. Brent, I don't know if you want to share any of that information in the chat, if there's still tickets available for the Aztec Awards on Friday night. So moving on, if you're new to Rainforest, we are a community of innovators, doers, dreamers, connectors, and builders building the tech ecosystem here in Calgary. This whole movement was based upon an analogy that tech ecosystems are like actual rainforests. There's a book about this research called Rainforest Building the Next Silicon Valley. Feel free to check that out. Prior to getting started, I just want to make a quick acknowledgement of the lands that we work and live upon in Calgary. These are the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all other areas and how we identify with them among the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. And for those in Edmonton, we recognize the lands of Treaty 6 of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis up in that region. If you are somewhere else in the province, the country, the world today, please feel free to share that in the chat. We like to know who's in the room and if possible, the traditional territories that you are upon today. So I'm going to play a quick video here just about a little bit more about the rainforest. We like to ground ourselves in this every week. If my thing will let me, this seems to be a glitch I have every week these days or this month. There we go.
What does it take to realize an idea or for a seed to sprout? At Rainforest Alberta, we know the answer is rooted in trust. Traditionally, Albertans have cultivated their ideas in established systems. Inputs that don't fit these systems are weeded out. Opportunities for growth are missed. But now, Albertans want a dynamic landscape that can evolve organically, like a rainforest. At Rainforest Alberta, we believe a culture of trust is the fertile soil where ideas grow. Our budding innovation ecosystem is a network of relationships pulling each other up as they push forward in their own field. Trust breaks down barriers. An open, inclusive network increases collaborative innovation. Successful breakthroughs inspire new ideas. A cycle begins. Rainforest Alberta is a movement to amplify trust by cultivating honesty, inclusion, and accountability. How? Our social contract holds us accountable to demonstrate trust across the province. We meet to have honest conversations around collaboration. This leads to more inclusive spaces for everyone to fearlessly build new ideas together. By raising the standard of trust, Alberta's ideas, talent,
Sorry, everybody. Talk about glitches. Today's talent or today's ecosystem can be evergreen, I think is how it ends. Sign the social contract today and we'll have the QR code up for you in just a moment. So this rainforest that we live within and are building together, are growing together, I should say, we like to think is made up of these 6 pillars: cultures, leaders, resources, engaged activities, policy and infrastructure, and role models. And we measure these every year through a scorecard assessment, which we will be launching right after the Christmas holidays. We ask everybody to fill it out. It's about a 10-minute survey, and then we report the data back to all ecosystem members and stakeholders. And it's meant for everybody to use in their own strategic planning, in their own work, in their own startups or partner organizations. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out. We love chatting about it. It's a lot of fun, the scorecard itself. Just, reaching out to the community and then getting to dig into that data. So tips to making the most out of this hour, please, as I mentioned in the chat, feel free to share your LinkedIn in there and also share an interesting fact about yourself, preferably one that most people don't know, because that's fun. Might be a nice connection point for some of you after. And please do use the chat for DMing each other if you have interest in meeting someone in the room. Throw your camera on if you can. And then we can get to know you better when we see you in person. We can easily know you or recognize you, reach out, ask questions in the chat. We have a great speaker today, and we'll be encouraged to ask questions both in the larger room as well as in breakouts. So wait for that. And we do record these sessions and the chat. Those are recorded in the Slack channel and in our YouTube channel respectively. So here's the social contract QR code. If you have not signed the contract, these are the 10 values that we agree to live, work, and play by in the rainforest and in the innovation sector across the province. So it's really all about being a good person, paying it forward, giving it back, and embracing diversity and collaboration, because we know when we do, we are able to accelerate innovation. Leave that there for a quick minute in case you haven't got it. Once you get into the social contract by giving your name and email, you'll receive an onboarding email welcoming you to the community and informing you of some other digital channels that we have available. One of them is Inkly, and this is a question-based platform where you can pose any curiosity you have about building a startup, being in, working, playing in the community, and your question gets matched to people with the particular intersection of skills and knowledge that might be needed to answer your question. So it's a great way to connect with people. It's a great way to find out information really quickly, especially relevant information as things are changing so quickly in our ecosystem. So get in there, answer questions, ask questions, be curious, be generous, and have fun with it. And again, I'm holding my microphone like this because of the background noise where I'm at. So I apologize for having my hand half across my face. All righty, we will move along. I think that's a wrap on the slides. Okay, I'm really excited to have Jennifer Jensen here today from the Calgary Innovation Coalition. So for those of you who don't know, Al's giving the hands up. For those of you who don't know, Calgary Innovation Coalition is one of many regional innovation networks across the province. I'm sure Jen will educate us on what that looks like across the province and locally, and everything the CIC is up to. And well, Jen, I'm not going to steal any more of your thunder. I'm going to turn it right over to you. We have a pretty small group here today. I'd strongly encourage you to be curious, ask questions in the chat, or just throw your hand up. I'm sure Jen can answer questions as we go. And then we will be getting into smaller groups to chat about some information or some of the aspects of research Jen is doing. And so I want you to know that in advance, and please don't sneak away at that time, because it's really important that we can have that time to share together. And at the end of the hour, we'll come back for community announcements. So I'll just plant that seed and you can get those ready for the end of the hour. So on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Jen.
Thanks, Bridget. Hi, everyone. I love reading the chat. Sarah's belly dancing. Yeah, so fun. The scuba diver, I'm gonna have to hear more about that, Al. I don't know what land-bound scuba diving looks like, but can't wait to chat with you more. So hi, everyone. My name is Jen. I am the Executive Director of the Calgary Innovation Coalition. I've been in this role for a year, and previous to that, I was the founder coordinator of the Calgary Innovation Coalition. So I'll share my screen and kind of go over some high-level slides of, who we are, what we do, and kind of what we're working on in the province. And so we're working on some cool things that I'd love to share. So just bear with me while I find the screen. There we go. Raise of hands, who is familiar with the Calgary Innovation Coalition, otherwise known as the CIC? Richard? Al? All right. How is that? How's my screen? Slideshow. Is that better? Yeah.
We see like the slides on the side still.
You do.
I mean,
Okay.
we can still see, so it's.
Gotcha.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
Cool. Okay. Perfect. So Calgary Innovation Coalition is one of 8 regional innovation networks. Oh my goodness, this is what happens when you have too many tabs open. All right, here we go. Okay, so we're one of 8 regional innovation networks. I love this map because it really showcases kind of the different RINs throughout the province. We're funded by Alberta Innovates, and so the Regional Innovation Network model was founded in 2017, and it really was formed as a decentralized way for Alberta Innovates to give the regions the power to not only influence, but collect resources that are happening in their communities, with the idea that the regions know best as to what's happening. And so Calgary, we have a multitude of industries and things happening, but in Apex, Alberta has like the aerospace and drone initiatives that are happening. RINSA's really heavy in agriculture. There's some of the technology access centers up north include like the beekeeping and seed technology access centers. And so each region has really its kind of specialized knowledge centers. And so we're really lucky to be a part of the RIN system and connect with the province. And also have that, I would say, if no one's here from the government, that decentralized, we can ask for forgiveness a little bit after. And so we can kind of understand what's happening in our city and provide funding through grants. We can do events, we can support other organizations. And so moving on, we're funded by Alberta Innovates, the provincial driver of innovation and the force behind Inventures. So for those of you who haven't checked out Inventures, last year was actually my first year. And it was exciting. Like it was a really exciting opportunity to see all the cool things that are happening in our province. I'll just take a quick pause and share. As the regional innovation networks, we actually meet twice a year in the province and talk about all the cool things that are happening as a group. And Laura Kilcrease, the CEO of Alberta Innovates, usually presents at the end. And our last meeting was this past end of September. And it was really exciting to hear Laura talk about how, what we're doing in Calgary and Alberta is being noticed elsewhere. And so in her travels, she was mentioning that she goes to other jurisdictions in the US and smaller areas throughout North America. And they ask, like, what is the Regional Innovation Network model? Like, what are you guys doing in Alberta that's so exciting? And so I think sometimes we don't know the power and the effect of our efforts, but I think it's exciting to know that they're being noticed elsewhere, and we're moving the needle. And it takes a village to do that, right? And so that's the beauty of the rainforest community and other communities bringing us together to talk about these wins. So, sorry, take a breath there. So the CIC really is a network of organizations. We have member organizations, government partners, and community resources. And all 3 of these buckets are, organizations that are passionate, that are working with startups, founders, entrepreneurs in technology enabled, and innovative based businesses. And we know that innovation and technology enabled are a loose term. And so we define it as, a change to an idea, a process, an innovation, recognizing that innovation exists in a multitude of businesses. And so that kind of sparks our vision of really being a healthy and inclusive, globally recognized innovation ecosystem. Some of our members include the PSIs, Bow Valley State, MRU, U of C, for example, Platform Calgary, BMSA, any organization that is really working with startups. And so Momentum would be considered a member of the CIC. Black Business Venture Association. There's too many for me to actually name. So they are kind of listed on our website. And if they're not listed on our website, and they should be, feel free to reach out to me and I can definitely add any organization, because we like to cross promote as well. So here's kind of a high level list of a few of our members. The CIC hosts monthly member meetings just to kind of, share information, share resources, explore new places. Our last meeting was actually out in Cochrane at the station, where they supplied us McKay's ice cream, and we had presentations from some of the founders that they were working with. What was exciting for me was that they were working with the Wolf Dog Sanctuary and other businesses, the town of Cochrane, not businesses that you would think like, oh, this is not what we may consider a startup, but they are, in the sense that they are innovating. And so I think being inclusive to that idea of what does innovation mean, and how can we drive and influence it in our communities, is really exciting to me. Calgary Economic Development is a core member as well. So basically, I think the best way to describe the CIC is that we're a container, the nucleus of the ecosystem. We don't do programs, but we support organizations, we support members. We help wayfind in the absence of, clear wayfinding paths. Part of my job is speaking to entrepreneurs and helping them navigate, kind of what is available to them. One of my favorite conversations recently was with Micah Louison from Mind Fuel. And he said, at the CSC, we should have shirts that say, I have someone for this. And I think I'm going to work on that, because I think that is the power of our network, is that we may not know all the answers, and that's okay, but we know someone who can find out. And, it may not always seem like a clear path, but we do our best to collaborate and connect entrepreneurs to the most appropriate resources. So kind of in a nutshell, our members work with startups, scale-ups, entrepreneurs, founders, the entrepreneur curious, the talent side, at all stages of a client journey, through various industries and all segments. So this is a picture of Get to Know Day. Get to Know Day was kind of our first major ecosystem convening event after COVID. And we hosted it at Platform Calgary. And we had about 150 individuals come from across the province to talk and connect and collaborate, and learn about each other. And through this, we've been kind of reimagining, what does the CIC look like? And so that facilitating networking piece is really important. Sharing, I don't know if we provide direct tools and resources, because we don't create them, but we know our members do. And so I think we can share them, the great work that's happening across the province. Something that's really exciting that we're doing right now is a research project. So really understanding, what is happening in Calgary specifically, because we're the Calgary region, where are the gaps, where are the opportunities, who's doing what, and how can we learn and then share this in a yearly strategic outlook for the city. My assumption is that this is the role that the CIC plays for the city. And so this is our kind of first massive research project dedicated to understanding not only the pains and gains of the entrepreneur, but also the ecosystem and all of the stakeholders. So taking that stakeholder approach of speaking with, we don't want to hear all the, usual voices. We want to hear all the voices. So this project is just kicking off now, and I have a few questions after this slide. But the CIC also provides grant funding. And so that's another interesting part of our funding agreement with Alberta Innovates, is that we're able to support initiatives. They could be pilot programs, they could be collaboration programs, they could be additions. Some of the funding that currently exists may not cover certain expenses, but it's an integral part to a project. And the CIC, we can look at that as part of our grant funding and work on potential proposals. And so we have about $300,000 that we allocate into the Calgary ecosystem every year currently. And we're looking at expanding that, because the 50-page report I just submitted to the Alberta government a few weeks ago, I think, was exciting to see that and show we need more money. We need more money to help more organizations, because the impact that we're making as a community is, I think, something that hasn't really been shared or seen before. So I'm really excited about that. And then the last point here is demonstrating collaboration. I'm really trying to move forward our idea of being an inclusive ecosystem. And so understanding that rainforest is a champion of that. How do we support rainforest? How do we support other organizations? And how do we continue to, be that kind of driving force? I'm kind of lost my train of thought there, but not intentionally like creating anything, but supporting and uplifting, rising tide, all ships will sail. And so some of the projects that we actually work on are convening conversations with organizations like Prairies Can and OSIF and other industry stakeholders, because we at the CIC and in our member group can really get to that deeper level of understanding and share that information with different levels of government and funding agencies. And so I think that's a pretty exciting place to be in. So just now switching into the research side, the CIC worked with Calgary Economic Development and Platform Calgary and the Startup Genome Project. And I just put the link here as a last minute thought, because I think it's a really interesting project. Startup Genome is international organization that kind of assesses ecosystems on an international scale. And while we think that's important for us as emerging ecosystem, to have that visibility internationally, we also know that it's really important for us to understand our current landscape internally. And so we think it's a balance of both. Startup Genome has some really great insights that we pulled with Calgary Economic Development and Platform Calgary. But you'll notice some of the numbers and the financials are skewed. They gave us 0 unicorns when we know that we have, 5 narwhals, or if we want to call them that, because they assess these companies in US dollars. And so, it's great to have that visibility internationally, but I think it's really, really important for us now to take on the role of looking internally. And so what is happening in Calgary and the region, and who is doing what, and how can we as the region kind of support the growth and economic development. And this kind of takes a few different lenses. I have a slide in the later stage of a survey that we're working on. And so just in cognizant of time, kind of really what we're trying to do is provide recommendations through the output of focus groups that will increase and help the impact of our organizations to address ecosystem gaps and opportunities. But to do this, we need to know first, like, what is the experience of the entrepreneur? And so this survey is an entrepreneurial ecosystem survey that has been a collaboration with MRU and Growth Compass, and is really looking at the entrepreneurial experience, because that's our end client in essence. So one of my asks for today is, if you know any entrepreneurs in your network who would be willing to share kind of 10 minutes of their time to give us a better insight on their experiences, this will help us kind of determine, and the information will be shared with the community, you know, what does access to capital look like for them? Do they have enough customers? You know, what is their general experience in our ecosystem? And then I have some questions. So maybe I'll take a pause and just stop right now and see if anyone has any questions about the CIC before kind of continue on to a few other questions that I have for the group. It's a lot of talking.
Go for it, folks. Who has questions? Comments?
Reading the chat.
I'll just say a comment is that Jen has been an amazing steward and leader in this ecosystem, and I really, really enjoy working with Jen, as well as being part of the Calgary Innovation Coalition. So awesome. Thank you for being here, Jen.
Thanks, Al. Thanks. That's really nice and kind of you. And likewise, I mean, a new idea machine has re-envisioned and redone our website, and I love it. I think it's such a great job, and so I highly recommend New Idea Machine to everyone that I come in contact with as looking for those services.
Thank you so much. Checks in the mail.
Nice.
Hi, Jen. Al, Pete here. Just a quick question on, I guess with your new website, are we starting to see a list of outcomes and, you know, things that have really started to blossom? Are we starting to see evidence of that? And then I'll just make a quick comment that, you know, I'm in the ecosystem as well, and we're finding that a lot of companies tend to try to find themselves out of Calgary if they're in startup stage, because there seems to be more money in Toronto and or the US, and a little bigger appetite for risk. Comments on that?
Yeah, thanks so much. And yes, you're right. So the outputs, we're currently working on the second stage of assessing the projects that we funded, and then how do we disseminate that into information that we're sharing. And so that should be coming in the next 6 months. There's about 12 projects that I'm working on with Al's team to help me kind of visualize that. And then all of this work will be wrapped up in February, Pete, and then we plan to do like a launch to share, you know, this is what we heard. This is what 12 pillars of our ecosystem research has shared with us. And so let's do like a launch to community, which hopefully will kind of inform a strategic paper every year. That's my goal. It might be lofty, but I think it's doable. So yeah, I'm okay if you hold me to it. And then your second question, yes, you know, I haven't necessarily heard specifically the Eastern Canadian movement, but more so South. And so we hear companies going South for investment reasons, capital. One of the things that was interesting, I was chatting with someone recently about some of the successes in China and some of the Asian countries is that they're hyper focused on global markets right away. And so is that something that we need to pay more attention to? That it's in our project. And I think, you know, as an emerging ecosystem, we need some just more critical mass.
There's also been a notion of the bigger companies here, including the municipalities and the province and the healthcare system, and to try to get them to become more the early adopters and local acquirers of local services. They tend to want to put buy local pretty far down on the list of criteria when they purchase, using the excuse that they have some sort of obligation to tender everything outside of Canada because of bilateral trading agreements and that sort of stuff. But anyway, just another one of those things that in California you can find a willing base of partner or customers that want to pick stuff up, for example.
Yeah, agreed. And we're hearing that too. Procurement in the city of Calgary is working on some strategies with that, which is interesting. But I think the gap is with SMEs and industry. And so I would love to kind of continue that conversation as we go. But I'll pass it to Carrie.
Hey, Jen. I just, you were asking for names or referrals a couple of minutes ago. I've got a few for you.
Sure.
There's Alice and Brian Reimer of Phillip.
They're on my list for focus groups.
What about, have you heard of a man named Sean Finn before? Fynn?
I'm not sure.
So the three, Alice, Brian, and Sean co-founded a SaaS company that became quite successful.
Awesome.
Boasting Walmart is our main and only client.
Okay.
So Sean is with a company now by the name of Stellar Algo.
Right. Heard of that. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Carrie. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Any other questions? So, Bridget, I'm not sure how much time you're able to give me I have two questions for the group, and I'm wondering if it's more interesting to everyone to break out into breakout rooms and discuss this together, or if we want to do it in the main group.
What are the questions?
I think we'll go into breakout rooms to give everybody a chance to
Sure.
you know, have a voice, and then they can come back and report in. I had created some that are a little too small now, so I'm just gonna make them a little bit bigger. Do you want to do one question? How many do we have? 3?
Just 2.
Yes.
So
2,
basically,
okay.
like, who are the most important stakeholders in the ecosystem? Like, where do you find information from if you're looking?
Well, we have a good 25 minutes. So why don't we start with the first question? We'll go into groups, discuss the first question. We'll come back in about 7-ish minutes and have folks share back, and then we'll go to the next one. Does that sound good?
Yeah, let me just put that question in the chat.
They just turned up really high. Welcome back, everybody. Slowly coming down. All right, there we go.
That was awesome.
The first question was perhaps a little bit more straightforward, so I thought we'll stop that breakout room at that point, and we'll have time for the second one. But first, I'll maybe just have a couple of folks, maybe someone who hasn't spoke yet, who hasn't been able to jump on the mic, share what was discussed in their breakout room as far as stakeholders and potentially touching on the extent of their influence. Jen, go ahead. I'll let you facilitate the rest of the conversation.
Oh gosh. Well, we really got into a good deep conversation about maybe who is not involved. And so one of the points was educational institutions could be more involved as a stakeholder, you know. And then we got onto the government role. That was getting spicy. It was good. But what is the role of government in leading, or are they supporting as a stakeholder? So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, there's always lots of feedback on that on our annual scorecard assessment as well around the government's role. Who else would like to share? Hey, Greg, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. I don't know if you were in a different group, but would you like to share what was discussed in your, sorry to pick on you, but just saw you there.
No, not at all. I think the focus really from a stakeholder perspective was very dialed in on the groups of stakeholders for our discussion. So in particular, groups like this, groups like TNT, and then of course the groups that specialize in connecting with things like funding, potentially with customers. It's one of the most important things you do, I think, as an entrepreneur is grow your understanding of what your stakeholders are. It's got to come from somewhere, and groups like this are places where you can kind of come up with those ideas, share what people know, and kind of cycle through them.
Yeah, great feedback. We'll take one more maybe on this question, and then we'll have time for the second one, which might be a bigger discussion even yet. Anyone else want to share?
We didn't bring it up, but the Indigenous communities are a big part of the go forward path for Canada, Western Canada, and that part of the stakeholder group often gets acknowledged, but that's kind of where it ends potentially. So we gotta, that's another thing that we're doing in our business, of course, is to turn that into real actionable jobs and prosperity. So I think that's another part of it.
Mm-hmm. On that note, first day of Innovation Week, November 15th, we'll be hosting Indigitech, Art Proctor and a handful of other folks all day, 9 to 3 at Platform Calgary. So I'll throw the link in the chat. Fantastic. Okay, should we move to the second question here? Jen, do you want to throw it in the chat and I'll redistribute people here? This is an awesome. Even bigger and interesting conversation. So I'm really curious to see where this goes. We do have time for like 1 or 2 insights from the group if anyone wants to unmute and share very, very briefly, if they could.
Access to funding, access to markets. Those are the 2 main themes from our side.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, in our conversation, we talked about exactly that, sort of access to financing. And then we also said, a platform for that to happen, kind of like Village Wealth for small businesses, but for startups.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Anyone else really quickly?
Jade summarized it quite nicely. He said that we're a young ecosystem, so we're a growing up ecosystem, and that's also part of it. So although we've been cruising away at this for just about 6 years, it's still a young ecosystem.
Very young, and on the talent side of things too. I think it's just a matter of time and maturing, which we can't rush those things. Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you for sharing all the work the CIC are doing and the other regional innovation networks. If you have any questions about that, again, Jen's mentioned she can be contacted, or LinkedIn's there. And we'll just move into community announcements. So we're just a couple of weeks away now from Innovation Week, Calgary Innovation Week, which is really exciting. The schedule is taking shape. There is the link. Rainforest Alberta is hosting Discover the Tech Sector, which is an event that is meant for those who are curious about entrepreneurship or curious about careers in tech. So those of you who have been around, you're more than welcome to attend too and help shepherd some of these newcomers. We already have 160 registrants. So we're really excited. It's going to be interactive. There will be a game show component. It'll be a total experiment that, might go totally sideways, but we'll see, because that's what we like to do. Experiment, fail fast, learn fast. So that's happening on the 15th, and Digitech's happening on the 15th. The Scale Up programs from Alberta Innovates are hosting an afternoon event there on the first day as well. And that's just day one. And then the schedule goes on for 10 more days. The big ticket event is Launch Party. That is the Thursday, whatever the date is, 20 something. It is going from midweek to the next midweek. We do have some discount codes for that. You can find it in our Slack channel. I can't share it that broadly, but it will be in our Slack channel for community members. And I just don't have it with me right now, which is the other reason I can't share it. So do reach out if you want it. And then everyone else, who else? I know Brent has lots of events that he's shared with me in the DMs. Do you want to throw or unmute Brent and share some of those?
Yeah, I'm trying to run through them really quick. Cybera has the Cyber Summit next week in Banff, but I believe it is sold out. They are also co-sponsoring the Rural Connectivity on the 6th and 7th in Banff. I put the link in there. And then I'm looking for the link, but the Open Learning Lab has their Learning Summit in November. So I'll find that and put it in the chat.
That's a really cool event for anyone in the learning space. Great. Thank you so much, Brent. Anyone else?
Bridget, we have an event on November the 14th at 12 noon. It's virtual. And guest speakers and co-host is the Alberta Construction Association, the Alberta Industrial Heartland, with all the cool new tech and industries putting money. I believe there's going to be about $25 billion invested in the industry and 14,000 jobs created. And then we also have an educator with courses on hydrogen and solar. So it's all in one and it's free. We'd love to see you just join and to actually, you know, put forward your ideas. And yes, there'll be breakout rooms, many of them. Okay, 20 minutes panelists and the rest breakout rooms. So look forward to seeing everyone there. The link is in the chat. It's on our website, and the event is on Zoom. Thanks.
Hey,
What's
great.
the website?
It's in the chat. It's futuresite.com, future, and then site CITE.com.
Thank you.
All right.
And
Anyone
then
else in the
last is
minute?
the Collectively Tangled and the Thriving Minds event is coming up shortly. And it's on November, when is it, Jade? 14th, I think. It's in the chat, and it's how to have mind health as an entrepreneur. What does it take to be resilient and strong and keep your ducks in a row, so to speak, while you're trying to grow a business? And so we've had one session. We're going to have a series, and then we also provide some guidance to entrepreneurs afterwards on one-on-one sessions. So look it up in the link there, and it's Thriving Minds is the name of the event. And it's free.
Wonderful.
And
There's
we'll
also
feed
a Google, sorry, I'm just gonna, we're gonna wrap up. The Google Dev Conference is also happening, butted up to Innovation Week. So you probably can find that link on the YYC Innovation Week event. But for any devs out there, probably don't want to miss a couple of days here in Calgary. So on that note, big thank you to Jen, the CIC, and all the extended members involved within it, the Regional Innovation Networks, and Alberta Innovates, and everybody for showing up today. Next week, we'll have Amber and Ty talking about queer tech. The following 2 weeks after that are going to be in person only for Innovation Week. We are going to be in the KPMG Ignition Center and platform the same day as in Digitech. So everyone's welcome to go up to the KPMG offices to just hang out and network, very casual. The following week, I think it's like the 22nd-ish, we are going to be at the Open Learning Lab with founder Ali Null. She's got a resume solution. The name of the startup escapes me, but those two mid ones in Innovation Week are in person only. Come downtown, come participate in Innovation Week. It's going to be a lot of fun, but you'll see emails on that in your inbox.